a trip to Madison because Madtown's fantastic. I mean,
It is. Good
especially
place.
in the summer. Mm-hmm. Once all the college kids have left.
There's all the drunks get out of there. The college drunks get out of there. So let's get into one final point I wanted to make, guys.
Oh yeah. Speaking of that, if you're not going to make the trip with a podcast with June 15th, then just 10 days after that, on June 25th, they're actually playing the Minnesota United an exhibition game, of course.
Yeah,
so.
And they're even playing Hertha Berlin.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, that's right.
They're taking advantage of that tour.
They're playing some different teams this year. It'll be interesting.
All right, so on to Major League Baseball.
On to Major League Baseball, guys, because we are a Major League Baseball podcast.
And the opener was just a few days ago.
It was. Twins won. Jose Barrios looked great. So I read an interesting article on ESPN the other day. In case you guys don't know, and I don't know if you guys, David, I don't know if you guys are into this as much as I am, but Major League Baseball, their labor agreement comes up, I think, in 2 years. Might be 3 years, maybe whatever it is. But there's been a lot of talk about how there's some disagreements going on with Major League Baseball and the players and, free agency, whatever. This guy who wrote this article, and I don't remember the article who wrote it, but said, now, the average age of a Major League Baseball fan is, and I asked you guys this question, you guys thought it was...
I was way off.
Low.
Yeah, in the 40s.
Yeah, and I said 50.
It's 57, 58. Okay? It is the oldest average fan in all the major sports in the United States. Okay? MLS soccer, average fan's age is 40 years old. Okay? So obviously there's younger people coming into Major League Soccer. My thought is this. Unless baseball decides to make a bunch of changes to speed up their game, make it more marketable.
Which they're trying.
Which they're trying to do. MLS could become America's summertime sport.
Could.
And the reason why I say this is because Major League Soccer is once or twice a week. You know exactly how long a game is going to take. Well, not exactly, but it's going to be about 2 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. You have once or twice a week to get into the game. You're excited. You have that lead up to it. And you have a whole week to talk about, what happened. They've marketed it better. They've done a lot more online stuff. The stadiums are more fan friendly and intensive. Major League Baseball is that, old timey game of slow pace. It can take 3 hours to do it. They don't market it, the players, there's no superstar players that you have. And so Major League Baseball could potentially lose a lot of viewership in the next 5 years. And if this labor thing goes, the dispute goes, and there's a strike or a lockout, baseball, it's not going to go away, but it might be pretty well known.
And you're taking a leap there when you say it could become America's, summertime sport. You almost could use, if you're talking about summer, then you almost could interchange that term with pastime. And I just that's
what I'm saying though, Dave, is that
a long ways off.
It's like reminds me, American football. Okay, you have one game a week, right? People get into that; they like it. In this day and age, young people want things quick and they want things fast.
It's almost too much.
Soccer is a fast game. It's 2 hours every 2 hours every week.
Yep.
That you get involved in.
And it never stops.
It's
just constant.
Goes on. Yep. If you want to be a big baseball fan, you've got 2 or 3 hours pretty much every night. In the summertime, you got to watch baseball.
Right. Yeah, and you mentioned before we came on, baseball should, what's one thing baseball could do to make it interesting that they probably never would do is cut down on the number of games. Cut them in half. But it's just, you can't see that happening just because of the records historically, the numbers.
But here's my question. Why is American football pretty much the biggest thing in the United States? Because it's one game a week. Okay? They're all
part of it, yeah.
There's violence.
That's it, yeah.
They marketed it. It's just huge, okay? You look at baseball, and how do you market baseball?
Yeah.
MLS can do the same thing that American football has done. Yeah. They can market it as game of the week. Look what they're doing at the end of the season in MLS, making it all the games at the same time. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
That gets viewership. You know, I'm saying that baseball. I'm not going to say baseball is going to die, and I'm not going to say that MLS is going to take them over, but there's potential there.
Yeah.
If MLB does not get going, if they don't get this next labor agreement going, they don't make it better with the players. The players are pissed off right now because teams have decided now they're not going to spend money on free agents who are older than 30.
Right, yeah.
It's all about extensions. It's all about getting younger guys. And
Which is smart on them.
It's smart on them, but players are so used to getting those nice big contracts when they're 29, 30 years old. Albert Pujols, great example. I talked to Dave in the car about this. Pujols signed his 10-year contract, I think, when he was 30 or 31. He was great for like 3 or 4 years, and the Angels have had him for the next 7, and he sucks. He's not even starting this year.
Right.
You know? So look at it. If they go on strike or have a lockout, fans will leave. I'm sorry.
I mean, they took a hit and never fully recovered from the last strike.
94. Yep.
Yeah, I don't think that today's younger fan will take another strike.
And they're not into it as much.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, MLS is the perfect thing for kids nowadays because it's quick.
Yeah, and I
They
think
got the stuff on their iPads and their iPhones looking at it, and it's quick, and you can watch all the games and everything like that.
I agree.
I think just whether, regardless of what kind of time frame we're talking about, whether, because I've always brought this up kind of, years ago jokingly that soccer will overtake, some of the major, top 4 sports right now in America. But just the fact that we're having this conversation is one thing because it says a whole lot about the growth of MLS over the last 5 years,
It's
10
huge.
years. It's been
enormous. It's good to point out that we're all baseball fans.
Yeah, I'm a
It's
baseball
not like
fan.
we're bashing
No,
baseball.
I'm
no.
not. No.
I mean, I'm sitting here with a Brewers cap on.
Yeah,
right
you
now.
are.
I mean, we all love the sport. We all like going to the stadium. I mean, even as a Brewers fan, I love going to Target Field.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it would be incredibly sad to see baseball not succeed. But I think there's a reality that
There is a reality.
Yeah.
There's a big reality, and it's about the way they played it.
And it's relevant in the MLS conversation in another ways because we look at, speaking of Target Field, they opened that in 2010. Obviously sold out that stadium for the first couple years. They made the playoffs in 2010s. The Twins did. Extremely successful, but look at it didn't take long before the honeymoon was over.
Yep,
and
that's
the
right.
attendance at Target Field dropped off significantly.
That's right.
You look at last year, the year before that, even, they made the run to the wild card. They had some success in the regular season, but the attendance numbers, despite that, still dropped off.
That's right.
And so that probably speaks more of, the sport itself, Tony, like what you brought up. So, and that's why I just say, it's speaking of, Target Field, and now we're talking about opening a new stadium here for the Loons, Allianz Field. It's
right.
I guess what I'm getting at is just because you're opening a new field doesn't mean you're going to sell it out every year after year after year after year.
But
so
my point is, look what MLS has done since they started. They've grown at a nice rate.
Yep, huge rate.
They put new teams in places where they're going to have a great fan base.
Yep.
Look at Minnesota, for Pete's sakes. We are not known as a soccer hotbed.
Right, yeah.
Okay, we're a northern.
Certainly not from the outside. No.
Not from the outside. So you put a team here, and look at our fan base.
Yeah.
Look at us. Look what we did in Blaine.
Yeah.
Okay? You look at Major League Baseball, and you go, they've grown a little bit here and there. They've always been behind the times. They're always this, old school baseball players used to do this. Old school used to do this. MLS is constantly changing. Adding VAR, adding that. They're constantly trying to make their game better.
Yeah, and you talk about, speaking of the Minnesota fan base for as far as soccer is concerned, look at how they made the jump, from NASL to MLS. It was almost seamless. They went from drawing, 10 years ago, they, a couple thousand people, but once it was kind of announced that there was going to be an MLS franchise,
about 9,000.
It was 9,000. But they made that jump to 23,000 every single game for the most part seamlessly. It happened.
And they had no problem drawing. What was it? 35,000 for the inaugural game.
Yeah.
No problem drawing. Even it was over 30,000 for Real Salt Lake, like a few weeks later.
And you're talking about basically a rented stadium, a football stadium that's not built or designed for soccer, artificial turf. But they were still drawing those fans in.
But I always look at my final point, guys, is this: you look at the MLB and you go, when you think of baseball in the United States, you think of old time. You think of how long it's been around. How much has the game changed since old time baseball? Has it changed a lot? Well, you got the DH.
Yeah.
You've raised the mound, you lowered the mound, you've done this, you've done... Really, it's the same. And all the old-time baseball guys want to be, well, we don't want to change it because that's what the game is like.
Yeah.
You look at the NFL. There's been a lot of changes since the NFL came into the scene in the 1950s and 60s. Right, Dave? I mean, there's been a lot of changes. You look at the NHL, NBA. NBA, you lowered the box, you did the three-point lines, all that type of stuff, the shot clock, everything. NHL, the blue lines, all that stuff. I look at MLS and I go, the VAR, everything, the atmospheres, that they've made changes along the way. MLB has not done that.
Well, no, and in fact, some of the changes that you see and it's not the change, but the game has changed. That it's going against what the league is trying to do. Mm-hmm. Like you look at, some teams, they'll have 13-man pitching rotations.
That's right.
They'll change pitchers 2 or 3 times an inning in some cases. That only lengthens the game.
I'm gonna reach way out. Baseball reminds me of cricket. I'm a big cricket guy.
Okay.
You spend like a week watching a match.
I love watching cricket.
Yeah.
But it's very similar. It's old-timey.
It's old-time, yeah.
It's slowly fading in England. Like they're much more into soccer. They're even getting much more into NBA and the NFL. Sure. There aren't a lot of things you can do to change it.
No.
It's just very structured like baseball is. And it just kind of does that. It ends up being long, and that's just how it works.
Yeah, I mean, and the only real way, unless you start getting drastic things like, okay, we're going to make it a 7-inning game, yes, a game can end in a tie,
Again, but the attention spans of younger people now, are lower.
Yep.
And baseball's an old-time game. I'm totally with the old-time baseball fans who say, I love to sit at a game and take a scorecard and do that for 3 hours. Great for you, okay? You're a fan. But guess what? Your generation is going to die, okay? It's going to happen.
It's true, yeah.
And unless you bring more fans who want to do that on into this game, your sport is going to slowly die as well.
Right.
You have fast-click games. You have the NBA, NHL, NFL, MLS. They're fast-click games. They're fast-paced.
Yep.
MLS, okay, not as much, but still,
it's
there's
still continuous
excitement.
Yeah.
MLS games, what I love about it is, and I hate about it too, is in those halves, if I get up and go get a beer or go to the bathroom or whatever, I could miss a freaking goal.
Right.
Because there's no stoppage. I could miss a goal.
Yep.
In baseball, if I get up and go to the I might miss one pitch.
Right. You can time it right, 2 outs. You can be like, 2 outs, nobody on.
Yeah.
All right, I can leave.
Yeah, I can go.
And you'll probably not miss anything. Yeah.
And kids nowadays, they want that action.
Yep.
They're sitting there, they're watching MLS, and they're on their phones playing their games, and they're watching the action, they're doing this and this, and they're on the MLS app, and they're looking at the stats. And all that. They like that.
Right.
So, they're opening up the gates here.
Yeah, we have to talk about our secret trip.
Yes.
Do we have any stories? Do we have any hints that we want to, or stories?
No, you know what? I don't. I gave off my story a while ago.
I do have one more.
Okay, go ahead. Please tell us your story.
Dave, do you have anything?
Not off the top of my head.
This is the last thing I have to talk about for this city. I went there for my bachelor party.
You did?
Yeah. Some buddies were like, "Hey, excuse me, we'll pay to go to this town."
Yeah.
We went there. We spent the entire weekend. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't so much a bachelor party as it was a long weekend.
Long weekend, sure.
And I'm a big I'm a big whiskey guy.
Yeah.
At that time, in 2005, I was a big Scotch guy. Scotch, cigars, we're at a piano bar.
Nice.
Really fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I'm sitting there, and I'm looking at my glass of Lagavulin 16. in front of me, and I've got my cigar in my hand, and the glass